Hey, what's up, Peeper? Coach Kyle here, and if you're a plant-based runner, I have a few kitchen products or things that you might think you should buy, and I thought I should have bought, but I've learned and I'm gonna suggest that there may be a waste of money or there are maybe better options. So today, you're gonna learn about what those things are and more importantly, what to get instead. I hope that by the end of this video, I have earned your like and a subscription. So the first one I wanna talk about is PB Fit, which is a brand of peanut butter powder. It's made by roasting and pressing or removing most of the fat and thus most of the calories. Then the peanuts are ground up and mixed with some coconut, palm sugar, and salt. You can mix with water to make some okay tasting peanut butter, or I think more commonly is to just take a scoop and pour it into a smoothie or some oatmeal or something where you want that protein, you want some peanut butter flavor, but less calories. So I'm not a big fan of this because while I do have some, I probably won't rebuy it. It's a little pricey and the removed fat is the generally considered heart-healthy mono-unsaturated variety. And later on in the video, I'll tell you why taking this out is maybe a bad idea. If you don't know, I'm Coach Kyle and I help plant-based runners all over the world improve their running and their lives through implementing sustainable training habits, easy to do strength work, dialed in nutrition, and working on anything else that needs alignment by making it all come together with great accountability and motivation. And I won't ask you where you get your protein from. If you want to learn more about my coaching, check out the links below, including a free 3-part video series with some quick and actionable tips to up your plant-based running game. So next up we have another powder, and that's protein powder. As a vegetarian or a vegan, you've probably or certainly been asked where you get your protein from and how you're alive because you don't eat meat and cheese. But I'm here to tell you that I hate protein powder and you probably don't need it. First off, I think protein powder is generally overpriced and I think it's a hassle. I hate scooping powder. I hate mixing powder in a shaker bottle. I hate having to clean out the shaker bottle. I hate that it comes in plastic and they're often pretty processed. So there is a better way and I'll tell you about it in the second half of this video. Next up we have fake meat. And we've all been there, especially I think as a newer vegetarian or vegan, you really go hard at that fake frozen meat section at the grocery store. We've all been there, especially I think as a newer vegetarian or vegan, where you really go hard at that fake frozen meat section at the grocery store. And I admit there are some pretty tasty and super easy options there. But my wife and I kind of joke that that's the junketarian option, and we do purchase them once in a while, but we do try to limit the amount of fake meat, fish, chicky nuggies that we get from the frozen section. But they are nice to have once in a while. However, we do try to limit how much of that we buy. The final thing I think most plant-based runners can get away from purchasing too often is those heavily processed, commercially sold, plastic packaged, expensive running fuels, especially gels and blocks. Now I know these things aren't necessarily designed to be healthy because they're not, but like I said, I just really don't like how much they cost. They often really just don't taste good, and I think there are better, more nutritious, easier choices out there, and I'll talk about those in just a second. Okay, so now that we've gone over a few of the things I don't recommend purchasing, the protein powder, the peanut powder, fake meats, and commercial sports fuels, what do I recommend getting instead? When it comes to the protein powder, there are a few things that I think are better. Generally, I tell people that as long as you're eating an adequate amount of calories coming primarily from whole food, plant-based sources, you probably are getting enough protein. Here in our household, we don't shy away from grains, and in the morning I often like some mixed berries, some soy milk, and some Kamut puffs. Dave's Killer Bread is pretty beefy when it comes to protein. Nuts, seeds, legumes, tofu, seitan, all have plenty of protein to go around. Now that being said, if you do want to up your protein game, then I think there are a few better ways than buying some expensive protein powder. The first is to make sure that the plant-based protein milk you've probably already been purchasing has protein in it. Rice and almond milk tend to be lower on protein, whereas soy may have as much as 5 to 10 grams of protein per cup. My favorite milk is from Silk, and there are 2 varieties that I really like. The first is their protein milk, which is an almond and cashew milk that has 10 grams of pea protein per cup, which is an excellent source of protein. Another option is the Silk Ultra. That is a soy milk with 20 grams of soy protein per cup, which is a ton of protein. If you want to see more about this milk as well as another tasty option, click on the link for this video up above. I believe that if we're talking about grams of protein per dollar, you can't beat one of these protein milk options. And aside from the price, you can't beat the ease versus a powder. Like I said, it takes effort to clean up, to prepare, etc. A powder, whereas with a protein milk, I can just fill up a glass when I get home, drink it. I can add some into pancakes or a smoothie, and I'm good to go. No mixing, little cleaning, no powders needed. So with the peanut butter powder, I mentioned that they take out the fats, but one important consideration, since this is so frequently added to smoothies, for example, is that that fat makes fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, something I'll never forget from memorizing from when I earned my degree in nutrition. These A, D, E, and K vitamins may not be as readily absorbed without that fat in the smoothie versus actual peanut butter. So if you want that peanut butter flavor with the protein, maybe with some reduced calories, I suggest using less peanut butter rather than using the powder. So now we go on to the fake meat, and instead of going to that Junkatarian frozen food section, we're gonna talk about preparing homemade seitan, having a go-to homemade veggie burger recipe, and discovering soy curls. Gluten gets a bad rap, but I'm a big fan. I love gluten and I love homemade seitan. In my recipe for homemade seitan, it's primarily vital wheat gluten and nutritional yeast baked in an Instant Pot. And if you want to learn more about how much I have come to love my Instant Pot, check out this video up here. Seitan works so well for shredded taco meat. You just food process it up, slices for sandwiches, chunks for stir fries or kebabs. It's just really good. Having a go-to homemade veggie burger recipe is also really nice. And I admit, mashing together some sweet potatoes and some beans can sometimes be a bit of a hassle or hit and miss, but I encourage you to experiment and really nail down one good recipe that you know will result in a good patty every time. Once you have this, however, you gotta make it. And I encourage you to make extra every time and put some of those in the freezer. So instead of having some super processed fake meat veggie burgers in the freezer, you have your homemade, for example, sweet potato black bean veggie patty that is ready to go and always tasty. Finally, something I don't think gets enough attention in the vegetarian or vegan world are soy curls. These things are super, they are so tasty, they work really great for something like chicken in an Alfredo. I love my soy curl beef jerky recipe. They can work good in some sort of Chinese recipe as well, maybe like a pulled pork with some barbecue for a barbecue sandwich as well. They're really easy, super high in protein, and they're excellent fake meat alternatives. Cool, so I hope you found this helpful. If you have any other suggestions or if you don't agree with me on any of these things, which is cool, leave a comment below. I love the discussion. And as always, plant-based runners, unite.